from the New York Times. If you read the New York Times, who recently published this warm and fuzzy piece on the Brecht Forum. Brecht Forum. Oh yeah, that's right. That's a group of communists. Remember the bald communist? May I explain? Here it is. If communists have a reputation for anything, it's seriousness. And if you've seen old photos of Karl Marx, you know he didn't smile much. But at the Brecht Forum, a community center on West Street, where revolutionaries, think of this word, revolutionaries and radicals gather daily to ponder and to pontificate. They also play. Smiles abound. They can't write one nice word about Sarah Palin, about me, or about the Tea Parties, but revolutionaries, smiles abound. Oh, it sounds so sweet to read about the communists and the revolutionaries in the New York Times. Have they forgotten what communists actually want? Well, we haven't here because they're talking about the Brecht Forum, and this is a guy speaking at the Brecht Forum that we showed you about a year ago.
We have to help bring this government down. We have to help destroy this system, and that requires increasing the alienation that working class and oppressed people feel. The way change is going to happen in this country is through the destruction of what we call the United States of America.
Got it? Did you notice he said increasing the alienation? What do you think is happening now? We also told you that the health care bill is all about structure. Remember? I have to slightly change my plan after this health care kicks in, I can't get back in. I got to go to the government. Isn't that weird? It's almost like they're building a structure inside to build a government that you don't even recognize. President Obama confirmed this in a recent interview. Listen.
The point is that we had created a structure, we had put a framework in place that allowed us then to continue to make progress.
Told you about the labor unions and how the labor unions here in the United States and the communists are teaming up and coming together. Now, Communist Party USA is admitting to the party's working relationship with Richard Trumka, the guy who's protesting this show, and the AFL-CIO.
Not only did the campaigning take place from union halls, et cetera, but this time, as Trumka told us when he was in Chicago, they began the nuts and bolts of building independent labor campaign organizations in 5 key cities around the country.
Got it? Labor union, AFL-CIO, labor workers, union members, AFL-CIO members. Are you a communist? Do you believe that the best thing that could happen in this world is the destruction of the United States of America? Because that's who your labor union and Richard Trumka is in bed with. When will you hear that? We on this program predicted death panels would result from government health care, except we didn't talk about them as death panels. It was the Complete Lives system. We talked about it in a completely reasonable and rational way. Complete Lives system was proposed by White House advisor Ezekiel Emanuel. We showed you the charts. It shows in a shortage of cash or an emergency, who would get treatment and who wouldn't. Not the old people and not the very young. We talked about this extensively on this program. Sarah Palin was the one that coined the phrase death panel. She did it on Facebook. The left said fear-mongering, told you not to listen. Well, here's Paul Krugman this weekend on ABC News. Listen.
If the commission isn't even brave enough to take on the death panel's people, then it's doing no good at all. It's not educating the public. It's not telling people about the kinds of choices that need to be made. Some years down the pike, we're going to get the real solution, which is going to be a combination of death panels and sales taxes. It's going to be that we're actually going to take Medicare under control, and we're going to have to get some additional revenue, probably from a VAT. But it's not going to happen now.
Death panels and higher taxes. They will decide who lives or dies. Meanwhile, they'll take your money. Death panels. America, you have a choice to make. Many of you have already decided, and you're taking the first steps. You've educated yourself. You have read more books than you probably have read in your whole life. In the last 2 years, you've learned history that you didn't know. You've read books like The 5,000-Year Leap, a book that woke me up, and the book that the left has attacked over and over and over again. I'm sorry, not the book. They've attacked me by criticizing the author. I don't care about the author. I don't care about any of his other books. Tell me what's wrong with The 5,000-Year Leap. They can't. This book will reignite your love for history and increase your understanding of the Constitution and principles of freedom and liberty. Buy it, if you haven't, The 5,000-Year Leap. It reminds us where our rights come from, God. And that is another step that I've asked you to take, the 40-day and 40-night challenge, a blueprint for national survival. I've asked you to turn towards God. Ask your progressive friends this question: how can we progress past to a higher principle than this one? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How do you progress past this? You cannot. There is nothing higher than this principle. So here's your choice, America. Here's your choice. To stand around and admire all the problems. And the problems that are coming are the problems that I have talked about on this program for years. They are beyond your wildest imagination. Now, am I fear-mongering? Use the last 10 minutes of this program to decide. If you haven't made your decision already, I want you to make this choice. I want you to make this choice. Once you've said, yes, I believe, I want you to ask yourself now, do I want to be a problem or do I want to be part of the solution? Being afraid is not the answer. These are the answers to the question, what do I do now? I'll get into them next.
Let me utter my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
You know, that is a fabulous soundbite, and for about 60 years we've revered that statement for some reason. I don't really, maybe because we thought that the New Deal was the solution. Basically, he's saying what Barack Obama has just said, quote, we're hardwired not to always think clearly when we're scared, and the country's scared. Well, how does either statement help us? They don't. Unless you're the person making that statement and you've just said, here's the solution, and you're not thinking clearly. Follow me. That leads you to being enslaved to the government. Here's a phrase that I do believe actually helps. The only thing we have to fear is being unprepared. Why? Because if you're unprepared, you have to look to somebody else for help. Anything. When things get tough, help. If you're prepared, you'll be able to survive. You'll help others. How could it possibly be a bad thing to prepare yourself for any eventuality? I mean, isn't that the Boy Scout motto, be prepared? Isn't that what we teach in all of our military academies? Be prepared. Why would anyone question, mock, or criticize just be prepared? Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Wouldn't you have to question the motive of somebody telling you not to prepare? 2 days before Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans on August 27th, 2005, the National Hurricane Center Director, Max Mayfield, called New Orleans Mayor Nagin to advise him to order a mandatory evacuation. Get everybody out. What did Mayor Nagin do instead? He declared a state of emergency. He urged residents in low-lying areas to evacuate. I've seen that New Orleans is in a bowl. All of it really is low-lying. Shouldn't you tell everybody to get out? Remember all the unused buses that were underwater. On August 29th, Hurricane Katrina, Category 4, made landfall in Louisiana. President Bush declared a state of emergency for both Louisiana and Mississippi. The same day, Katrina ripped 2 holes in the Superdome roof and left one of the levees broke. 2 days later, Louisiana Governor Kathleen Blanco, she requested more National Guardsmen from President Bush and ordered a total evacuation of the city. The mayor and the governor waited to take the necessary action to protect their citizens until the event happened. They were unprepared for what happened. So thousands, actually up to 300,000 people never left. They didn't get out in time. Instead, people wound up on their roofs with signs that said, "Save me." And 30,000 ended up at the Superdome, 25,000 more at the convention center. A little preparation could have saved much of New Orleans, and much more importantly, the people in it. What if New Orleans had listened to and acted upon all of the advice from engineers over the years since the 1950s, telling them that the levees would not hold? What if they had prepared for a disaster by fixing that fundamental problem instead of squandering the money? Even I warned about the levees. I warned about the levees almost 1 year to the day before Katrina happened. A year before, I warned on my radio program that the city of New Orleans was the most dangerous city of any city in the U.S. because of the levees. People ask me all the time, what do I do? What do I do? Well, you asked for a political answer, and I spent a year on that. It's in here. It's broke. I highlighted one of the answers Friday. Congress should never make more than our soldiers. And federal employees should never make more than our U.S. citizens. That's just the way it is. I also solved the problem of lobbying in Washington and graft and how they get out of touch when they become a politician and arrive in Washington, D.C. And I did it in a way that protects our government from terrorist attacks. Oh, it's all in here if you wanted that answer. If you wanted the answer of how to fix it politically. What do I do? Ask yourself this question. Does the solution come from Washington? If yes, get the book, vote. If no, vote and then 2, educate yourself and your family on history and current events. You're already doing that. Wait until you see what we have coming for you tomorrow. 3, find God. 40-day and 40-night challenge. Simplify your life and find things of real value. 4, get out of debt and prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Well, you know what? My gosh, how horrible. Glenn Beck is fear-mongering. He's now telling people what? To get out of debt and to buy food and supplies? Yes. Yes, I am. Things change tonight. I'm getting ready for my 2011 New Year's resolution, which is, I don't care what anybody says. I don't really care, because this will be the winning slogan in 2012. Yes, I can. If we are strong individuals working together after we've strengthened ourselves as individuals, we can accomplish miracles Americans have and will again. The difference now is the disaster has not hit us fully yet. People are still just waking up. We have a chance to get prepared. If we're not prepared, we will make the wrong decision. Next, I am putting my money where my mouth is. It's an action step I hope you'll join me on. Don't go anywhere. All right. Welcome back to the program. If you just joined us, hello. Starts at 5. I have a choice for you. The choice is you can be one of the 2 people that, were in New Orleans. You can be the people that got out on time and didn't want to risk it. You can find a boat and you chainsaw, and then you come back and you help the others. And you don't blame them, nothing. You just go back and you help them. Or you can just get some sign-making material and put it up in your attic so, it's ready to go when you're standing on your roof waiting for the helicopter to come by. You can just... The choice is you can be a part of the solution or part of the problem. I ain't going to be the guy who stands